People love saying they don't make cars like this anymore. And after seeing these, you'll understand why. We like to imagine the golden age of motoring as a time of chrome, freedom, and raw power. But the truth? Many of those icons were high-speed death traps, environmental disasters, or financial black holes. Today we're looking at 25 vehicles that were so dangerous, so unreliable, or so flawed that governments actually stepped in to take them off the streets. Stick around, because number 1 isn't just a car, it's the biggest corporate scandal in automotive history. 1. 1971 Ford Pinto. The Pinto is the poster child for corporate negligence. Because the fuel tank was placed just inches behind the rear bumper, even a minor tap from behind could cause the tank to rupture. The horror. Ford's own internal memo calculated that paying out death lawsuits was cheaper than fixing the $11 part. When the Pinto memo went public, the car didn't just vanish. It was essentially shunned into extinction. It remains a cautionary tale of profit over human life. 2. 1960 Chevrolet Corvair. This car was the primary target of Ralph Nader's famous book, Unsafe at Any Speed. The fatal flaw, the original swing axle suspension, had a habit of tucking under during sharp turns. This would cause the car to flip over without warning. The resulting congressional hearings changed safety laws forever, making the early Corvair a legal pariah on modern roads. 3. 1958 BMW Isetta. The bubble car looks charming, but it was a structural nightmare. It featured a single door that opened at the very front of the vehicle, the trap. Imagine a head-on collision, or even a tight parking job. If the front of the car was blocked, the occupants were trapped. With no side doors and no rear exit, modern crash standards deem this design a safety hazard that could never be built today. 4. 1955 Citroën DS. Early models. The DS was decades ahead of its time, but its complexity was its downfall. The reality. A single high-pressure hydraulic system controlled the brakes, the steering, and the suspension. If a single seal leaked, you didn't just lose one system, you lost everything. Regulators eventually forced massive redesigns because a minor fluid leak shouldn't leave a driver without brakes or steering simultaneously. 5. 1970 Plymouth Superbird. This NASCAR legend was built for the track, not the driveway. Its nose cone was long and its rear wing was massive, the band. In several European countries, the sharp, protruding nose cone failed pedestrian safety tests, making it effectively illegal to register. Furthermore, the wing blocked rear visibility so badly that it was a constant hazard in traffic. 6. 1969 Subaru 360. Consumer Reports called this car unacceptable, and they weren't being dramatic. The crash test. When tested against modern American cars of the era, the 360 crumpled like a literal tin can. It offered zero crash protection, and its two-stroke engine produced clouds of toxic smoke that would fail every modern emissions test in existence. 7. 1959 Trabant. The East German icon was made of Duraplast, a mixture of recycled cotton and resin, the poison. It wasn't just the body that was problematic. The engine was a catastrophic polluter. After German reunification, the Trabant was hit with a barrage of environmental bans. You can't drive one in many European cities today because its exhaust is a literal health hazard. 8. 1974 Bricklin SV1. Marketed as the Safety Vehicle 1, it turned out to be anything but safe. The failure. The electric gull-wing doors were so heavy that if the battery died, you were sealed inside your car. Furthermore, the acrylic body panels were known to crack or even melt in extreme heat. It was a safety car that required a rescue team to exit. 9. 1961 Amphicar 770. It's a car. It's a boat. No, it's a disaster. The sinking truth. The door seals were notorious for failing. Many owners took their cars into the water only to find their vehicle becoming a permanent part of the lake floor. Between marine safety laws and automotive road standards, the Amphicar was eventually squeezed out of legality. 10. 1958 Edsel Citation. Ford's biggest financial flop had a teletouch transmission with buttons in the center of the steering wheel. The confusion. Drivers frequently shifted gears when they meant to honk the horn. This dangerous ergonomics, combined with a transmission that would often jump into neutral at highway speeds, led to its swift removal from the market. 11. 1973 Oldsmobile Toronado. This 19-foot-long beast was a monument to excess. The danger. It was so heavy and its visibility was so poor that it became a rolling hazard. During the 1970s oil crisis, its 8-mile-per-gallon thirst made it practically illegal to operate for anyone without a personal oil well. Today, its dimensions don't even fit in standard traffic lanes. 12. 1985 Yugo GV. Often cited as the worst car ever made, the Yugo was a safety nightmare, the disintegration. Parts would literally fall off while driving. In one famous instance, a Yugo was blown off a bridge by a gust of wind in Michigan. The U.S. eventually banned its import as it failed nearly every quality and safety standard on the books. 13. 1967 NSU Row 80 ORE. This featured a revolutionary rotary engine that was incredibly smooth. The breakdown, the engine seals would fail every 30,000 miles. Owners used to signal each other with fingers to show how many replacement engines they had gone through. The total lack of reliability eventually led to the brand's bankruptcy and the car's removal from the road. 14. 1957 King Midget Model 3. A microcar designed to be the cheapest transportation in America. The trap. It had no seatbelts, no doors, and a frame that offered the protection of a lawn chair. When federal safety standards were implemented in the 1960s, the King Midget was immediately outlawed for new sales because it failed to provide even basic survival odds in a crash. 15. 1954 Nash Metropolitan. Small car, huge problems, the electrical fire. The British-made Lucas electrical systems were so prone to short-circuiting that engine fires were a common occurrence. Additionally, the car's narrow wheel track made it dangerously unstable at anything over 50 miles per hour. 16. 1958 Lotus Elite. This car used a fiberglass monocoque chassis, meaning the body was the frame. The cracking chassis, hitting a single deep pothole, could crack the entire structure of the car. Because fiberglass is nearly impossible to structurally patch, a minor bump made the car a total loss. Most were scrapped within a few years of production. 17. 1971 Chrysler Imperial. This luxury flagship was loaded with early electronics that were ahead of their time. The ghost in the machine. The headlights would turn on by themselves, and the anti-lock brakes, an early primitive version, would often lock up for no reason. Mechanics refused to work on them, and they were eventually abandoned by owners who feared their own cars. 18. 1975 Triumph TR7. The Wedge was supposed to be the future, but the build quality was a disaster. The Rust Bucket. These cars would begin to rust while still on the dealer lot. Pop-up headlights would fail, and the engine was known for blowing head gaskets at a record pace. Most Triumph TR7s had returned to the earth as iron oxide by the mid-1980s. 19. 1961 Pontiac Tempest. It used a unique, rope-drive, flexible drive shaft. The vibration. At high speeds, the drive shaft would vibrate so violently that it could shake the steering wheel right out of the driver's hands. This engineering innovation turned the car into a high-speed vibration hazard, leading to a quick discontinuation. 20. 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. Export models. While a legend in America, several countries eventually banned older models of the Bel Air. The reason? Its X-frame design was a death trap in side-impact collisions. In a crash, the frame would fold inward rather than absorbing energy, making the 1957 Chevy one of the most dangerous vintage cars to actually drive in modern traffic. 21. 1958 Zundap Janus. The car with two faces, one door in the front, one in the back, with passengers sitting back to back. The exhaust trap. The engine was in the middle, and rear passengers were often overcome by engine heat and toxic fumes. The bizarre seating arrangement was eventually deemed unsafe for public transport and banned in several jurisdictions. 22. 1970 Checker Marathon. The iconic NYC taxi. The obsolescence. Despite being built like a tank, the Marathon couldn't meet modern emission or safety standards. Once the taxi fleets moved on, the car became a legal nightmare to register for private use due to its lack of basic safety equipment like airbags and modern crumple zones. 23. 1955 Messerschmitt KR200. A three-wheeled bubble car with a plexiglass canopy, the heat stroke. On a sunny day, the cockpit would reach 120 degrees, causing drivers to faint behind the wheel. In a rollover, the canopy was nearly impossible to shatter from the inside, meaning you were boiled alive or trapped in a crash. 24. 1970 AMC Gremlin. Though designed in a rush, the Gremlin was effectively a larger car with the back chopped off. The unbalance. Because of its weight distribution, the car would fishtail dangerously on wet roads. Its poor build quality and unpredictable handling made it a pariah of the 1970s subcompact era. 25. 1978 DeLorean DMC-12. It's a movie star, but a terrible car. The quality crisis. The stainless steel panels were impossible to keep clean, and the underpowered engine made it a hazard when trying to merge onto modern highways. Between the company's legal scandals and the car's poor safety ratings, the DeLorean remains a garage queen, too dangerous to be a daily driver. These 25 cars didn't just disappear, they were forced out. Every one of these bans was written in blood. They serve as a reminder that automotive progress is built on a mountain of spectacular failures. Which of these cars do you think was the most dangerous? Would you dare to drive a BMW Isetta in modern traffic? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the forbidden garage, hit that like button and subscribe for more automotive history. I'll see you in the next one.